we have Nicole and Jamie Pittman, actually Elder Jamie and Minister Nicole Pittman. Now I want to make sure I get their titles right. They have been married for 12 years. Tomorrow is their anniversary. I forgot. Happy anniversary, you guys. Um, they're members of Christ Deliverance Temple in Charlotte, North Carolina, where their pastors are Apostle and Bishop Lucky. And then Jamie and Nicole, they are the youth pastors, I believe, at the church. They are the owners of Charlotte's own Christian-based Paint and Sip, Paint and Praise. So if y'all, once everything opens back up, they get them Paint and Praise. Mm-hmm. So if you're looking for a Christian type one, and they will come to you. Jamie is an IT support technician and a high school technology teacher here in Charlotte. And Nicole works for the city of Charlotte in housing and neighborhood services. So they are going to come to us, and as you see, they both are ministers and elders in the church, and they're going to come to us about seeking wise counsel.
And they're actually sharing their screen.
Yeah, so if you can see their screen, they're actually sharing it, and we're going to turn it over to them. Thank you, guys.
Hey, Tia, can you hear us?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Hey, thank y'all so much. I just want to say, first of all, thank y'all for putting this on. Y'all are awesome. There we go. Tia, you know we're not caught up on titles. We're Nicole and Jamie. But we're just going to throw up a slideshow that Jamie created, just so that it's a visual that everybody can actually look at and take notes if they want to. And we always like to just put out a scripture just to back up what we're saying and what we're doing, okay? So talking about seeking wise counsel, we're just going to use Psalms 1:1. Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful.
Yeah, so when you think about seeking wise counsel, I always think about the scripture first because it's telling you that if you want to be blessed, that there are going to be many types of counsel that we come across. As we know, all the way from childhood to adulthood to being in a marriage, there's many voices. Even especially in this day and age, I think the first couple talked about social media. We have so many voices on social media that want to weigh in on subjects. But when you lean to godly counsel and lean to counsel that can give you a godly or wise perspective, then that is how you can be blessed. That is the way that's ordained for us to be blessed. We kind of just wanted to talk about counsel, and you know, at the core of it is just formative advice or guidance. So the form of advice or guidance you may get for somebody. But when you really think about it more, counsel should have some type of academic, legal, or moral weight to it. And when we say weight, we mean something that is standing behind it, something that gives it credence. So if you go and talk to a lawyer, you know they have had the training, they have the knowledge, and they have a reputation behind it. When you talk to your pastor or your church leaders, they have to answer to God. We are minister of the gospel, so we have to answer to God with what we may give you. So I'm giving you something that has some type of weight behind it, and not something that when it falls through and you ask me about it tomorrow, I say, well, hey, nobody ever told you to listen to me. So you see how that happens for people sometimes. When we say wise is having a showing experience, knowledge, and good judgment. And all those things kind of combine for wisdom. We know each person has different experiences that God leads us to and takes us through. We all gain individual knowledge, and we have to bring about good judgment in order to call ourselves wise. Solomon was known as being one of the wisest men that ever lived because he was able to hear what the people brought before him and give them godly wisdom and knowledge and use that judgment. So the one thing we just wanted everybody to remember that all counsel is advice, but not all advice is counsel, because not all advice meets that criteria of being godly or having some type of weight behind it. So we just wanted to kind of expose those few things between wise counsel versus advice. So on the left-hand side, we have wise counsel, where the person is using their knowledge or their experience. We've been married for 12 years, so if we tell you things that we've gone through, things we've experienced, as the other couple mentioned, using transparency, that's using our knowledge and experience. Formally requested, that's one that where you actually are seeking the knowledge or seeking advice, whereas sometimes you can get advice which is not requested from anybody. People just want to chime in on your situation, or chime in on what they believe is going on, or chime in on what they believe is happening in your marriage or what you're going through. And then using sound judgment, like we talked about, being able to judge righteously and correctly what's going on and carrying some weight.
And just to touch on advice, opinion-based and containing bias kind of, to me, would intertwine together, because, again, advice is opinion-based. Somebody's telling you what they think you should do or what they feel like you should do versus their experience or their actual knowledge of what it is that you're talking about. May or may not be requested. Like he said, sometimes you go to somebody, open-heartedly asking for advice versus somebody just, again, giving you an opinion about what they think you should do. And like Jamie stated earlier, he touched on the whole weight versus authority, being able to actually give advice based on having that background or that knowledge versus just somebody who doesn't have that experience.
So we basically wanted to talk about 4 different things. So the need for wise counsel. So why would anybody need it? Seeking wise counsel, discerning wise counsel, which I think my brother, the deacon, just touched on a little bit, and counsel versus complaint. So the need for wise counsel. Sometimes we have where people don't understand or see the need that they would have for counsel, but it is something that's biblically confirmed. So when you look at Proverbs 11:14, it gives you some scriptures. When there is no guidance, the people fall, but in the abundance of counselors, there is victory. Proverbs 12:15, the way of a fool is right in his own eyes, but a wise man is he who listens to counsel. And Proverbs 15:22, without consultation, plans are frustrated, but with many counselors, they succeed. So we wanted to, when you think about that, why do people resist, ignore, or refuse counsel? We're in a day and age, some people, even when you speak about marriage counseling or before things get to that crisis point, people don't want to seek out that wise counsel. So we talked about some ways why they may feel that way. So, my wife, what are some ways that you feel like it cause people to?
So based on when it comes down to fear of perception, just be afraid of how people look at you. Like T, I know you said earlier that even with this whole seminar that is, wonderful that you put together, a lot of people may not have wanted to come on with that fear of perception, that people may think something's wrong with my marriage or it needs to be fixed, which there's nothing wrong with, wanting to tune up something before it gets to a point to where it may be going downhill. And that can also fall with previous bad experiences. If you reached out to someone before and it didn't end so well, then that would put a bad taste in your mouth to say, I'd rather just deal with this behind closed doors and deal with this on my own versus trying to go out and seeking, wise counsel.
Yeah, I think some of the times where we have gotten advice or bad advice or bad counsel even versus wise counsel is what causes people to want to resist or ignore wise counsel. So it's a very big difference between wise counsel is beneficial for you in multiple ways. The counsel of foolish people or ungodly people can lead you down a road where you don't want to go. So going back to the 3 verses that we talked about, it very clearly lists what those benefits bring you. So where there's guidance, you have victory. So the benefit is victory in your marriage. So when you as a married couple can speak to other couples, other people who can lead you and guide you in a wise way, then that leads to victory in your marriage. Even on today, somebody may have overcome or won a victory hearing about ways that they could work on their finances or ways that they could come together with a budget. But if you refuse that or you're not open to that, then you may miss that victory that God was allowing to be created for you. Even down to wisdom. When we think that we have it all together on our own, when God is able to bring wisdom into our lives. Many of us have went to school and got education and knowledge, but we know that the fear of God is the beginning of wisdom. So when God gives that gift of wisdom and that special word of wisdom through somebody, then that is something to be treasured all on its own. And then the third one, of course, is success in your endeavor. So me and my wife are a team. So I believe one of the other couples talked about, we have our plans or our goals that we're going through, and the people that God places in your life, the counsel that you use can help you to reach those goals. So seeking counsel. So of course, we talked about God placing people in your life. So of course you want to go to God first in prayer and asking him to make the ways, but God answers a lot of our prayers through the people. Even today we see all of the wonderful kingdom people that God has placed around us and made available so that you can say, hey, I know a couple that I could talk to about mental health. I know a couple that I could talk to about my finances. I know it's a couple that I could talk to about trying to get out of rough situations, and recognizing those people around you and utilizing their gift.
Right. This kind of tag team on what you were saying. It's funny, Tia, that you asked us to talk about this, because that was Seeking Wise Counsel. I don't want to say it was something I was struggling with, but that was kind of my prayer to God, was to place more married people in our lives, not to take anything away from single people. But when you're married, there's only so much that you can go to a single person and discuss, right? Not saying that we have anything, wrong in our marriage, but it's a difference when a couple can go to another married couple and sit down and have a conversation about marital issues or marital life in general. I can't go to my single friend and talk to her about, let's go out as a threesome. You know what I'm saying? So I just thank God that he has placed married couples in our lives. Even Tia and Charles, I think we met maybe about 2 years ago now, and it was through Married the Third Ring. So I said all that to say, if you pray and use discernment, God will place people in your life, and you may not know why, but at the end it'll come out.
Yeah, I think that really is important to see. If you're anybody who's familiar with the corporate world or with leadership, people who are successful in those areas, it's not because they know everything, it's not because they have mastered everything, but they found a way to build a team of counselors. I know some people may not like that, but we have a president right now who doesn't really value wise counsel sometimes, and you see what happens to be the end result. And that can be the same way with a lot of people. Kings, emperors, you have to be able to recognize those people and be able to utilize those gifts that are in the body. So just talking about the gift of counsel, we're not going to read through all of that, but there are multiple examples in the Bible that shows where people were able to step in and give counsel to help build or lead the people to where they need to go. From Moses' father-in-law giving him counsel on how to manage the multitude from Israel, to Joseph, wisdom and counsel, allowing him to manage Potiphar's house, then managing the prison, then managing the country. Daniel served under multiple rulers. Even though they all didn't recognize his God as the one and true God, they recognized the gift of counsel that was on him in a needed time. So what are we saying really is just don't overlook the people God is placing in your life. And you may have to look outside your comfort zone. So these people that we mentioned, the Pharaoh, he got Joseph out of the prison, but he was placed there by God for a time such as this. So sometimes we are introduced to people or certain things happen. This webinar, for example, maybe is simply to introduce you for somebody for a time such as this. And we have to humble ourselves to hear not only the voice of God, but hear godly wisdom when it comes through wise counsel. If we can humble ourselves to do that, then God can show us and use the people He's put in place to take us to where we need to go. I'll let my wife start off with discerning counsel.
But just to chat back on what I said earlier, just use good judgment. My husband and I were preparing for this on yesterday, and we're kind of talking about using discernment when you do go out to search counsel, especially when you're looking for godly counseling. I mean, you wouldn't go to a unsaved couple for godly advice, right? So just using good judgment and discernment. So discern and vet your counsel. Experience. Are you going to someone that's seasoned or someone who just got married last week? If you're, somebody who's been married 20 years, I'd probably be more prone to go to you for advice versus somebody who just got married last week. And not taking anything away from that person, but you don't have the experience that I may be looking for depending on the situation. Knowledge, specific knowledge or opinions. Again, like Jamie said earlier, you want to talk to somebody who actually has knowledge and experience about what they're talking about, not just giving you the advice off the top of their head. God forbid if my husband was sick, I would want to speak with somebody who's actually been through that type of situation, because you took your vows for better, for worse, in sickness and in health. So I may go to someone and say, I'm really having an issue with this. Can you help me? But if you haven't been through that yourself and have the experience and that background to tell me, you're gonna make it. This is how I can't go to you and actually take what you're saying to heart, because you're just telling me what you think I want to hear.
When you get into the moral authority, so what is backing them or their counsel? So just like a lawyer, they'll tell you, okay, my counsel is good here, I don't want to counsel you in this area. When you think about somebody counseling you in your marriage, you and your wife, then you have to think of what type of authority are they coming with, what reason is it are they coming with. Judgment, weighing in the options and the consequences. So the bias that people have, the personal baggage and the issues. So sometimes that can lead to a lot of stress, because you have to understand who you're getting the counseling from, or who you're getting opinions from, who you're getting advice from, what type of personal baggage or issues are they bringing in. So me and my wife just had words on this morning, and then you asked me about a marital issue, and I'm still mad about what my wife said. And so now I want you to be mad at your wife. Or I'm saying, oh, that sounds just like my wife. And so instead of giving you sound judgment, I'm giving you my own biased opinion.
Is your goal to really support me, or are you trying to destroy me? Are you happy in your marriage and you genuinely have my best interests at heart? Or are you down and out and depressed and you want everybody else to be down and out and depressed? Like Jamie just said, you can't tell everybody your business. I think I heard one of my brothers say that, maybe Charles. You can't tell everybody your business, because everybody's not going to be happy for you. They are looking to, for you to fail. They don't, want to always hear that you're just always on cloud nine. So intentions is definitely something that you should look at before seeking counsel.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just for you to use discernment. So there's going to be a lot of voices and people that can give counsel. And there are going to be a lot of people who will give wise counsel, and there's going to be people who will give what sounds like wise counsel, and there are going to be people who give what is obviously bad counsel, but you still have to discern. And so if you use these to kind of check off and think about it, okay, what is their bias? Why are they telling me this? What is their intention? Is it their intention love, or is their intention peace, or is their intention strife or pain? And we hate to think of it sometimes in those aspects, but sometimes pain loves company.
Right.
So you have to remember that even when you're vetting counsel. The one thing I also want to throw in there is you can't discount the counsel of your spouse as well. So sometimes we think about, our marriage and counseling and going to an outside source or outside marriage, or that we have issues between us. But as someone said, you may have to think about the things that you're going with and say, I need to talk to my spouse. Maybe they're the person that God has already placed and ordained in your life, and he has already sent the answer through them. They already have the word to be able to share with you, to be able to calm you down. And the last thing we just wanted to touch on was simply, are you seeking counsel or complaint? So we wanted to say that was especially dangerous with, we're all good, especially dangerous with family and close friends. Why? Because that can taint the image of your spouse and your relationship, and it doesn't lead to solutions. So are you actually seeking wise counsel, or are you seeking to vent?
This is really, I like this. This is a good one right here, because so many times we would get pulled on by people that might just want to be venting and not really even wanting any help.
Yeah.
That was a good one. You guys, this was good, and I love the PowerPoint image as well. So that was very good. All counsel is advice, but not all advice is counsel. That was good. That's good right there. And that's a good nugget, because that's so true. You see so many people that post their problems on Facebook, and you got people that just want to be nosy, don't really want to be, in there, and don't, just want to give them some. They probably single as single can be, or can't stand themselves that day. That is very good. And then just like he said, another good nugget that I list. Oh, the hardest thing though is when you have to counsel after you just fell out with your spouse. But you have to make sure that when you mentally prepare yourself to counsel that person, that you know that you have their best interests at heart, and you can't take your problems into that counsel if you are a person that someone is seeking out to be their wise counsel. So you guys did an amazing job. I loved it. You loved it?
It was awesome, man. I was over here talking about I love the Bible study.
Everybody has success with their scripture today. We're going to bring all of our panelists back on as well, because we do have a few questions for everybody. Everybody's popping back on, so we appreciate it. So you guys, we are on a great time. We're finishing up. But we had some questions that we promised to ask to the panelists before, and I appreciate everybody's time. I didn't tie my hair up when I was over here playing. I got a text like your hair. So the one question that came through our anonymous question was, you want to read it?
Oh yeah. Hop on. All right. So the question was, can you be one in one thing and single in another in marriage? Basically, financially, one of us still thinks because one person has a bill that's theirs and not ours.
Whoever wants to take that can.
Yeah.
Okay, so since we talked about finances, we'll take it. So my thoughts is, it's hard. Like, trust and believe. Sometimes I'll be like, oh, well, that's your bill. Especially if the person had the bill before you guys got married. Say they ran up a credit card bill or something in their 20s and then y'all got married. You know, it's hard. You want to really be like, that's your bill. You deal with it. But at the end of the day, you are stronger together. So, and the thing is, if you are married to that person and I take that approach, okay, you know what, that's your bill. You had it before we got married. I'm not going to deal with it. But guess what? The company that person owes, when at the end of the day, they don't care about that. They're going to garnish that person's wages or come after them with a lien or whatever, you know what I mean? Or affect their credit. And that's still going to affect you together. So you buy a house or a car together, even though I'm saying, oh, you know what, that's his bill. I'm not worried about it because he got married. You know, he had that before we got married. Well, if that affects his credit score by not paying it or, you know, whatever, then when we go to do something together, it's affecting both of us. So in the end, I mean, it's going to eventually probably affect both of you either way. So it's better to communicate about it and just try to deal with it. Because again, you're better together. And I mean, trust and believe, that is hard, you know, because you really do, like, you had that before we got married, but it's going to affect your marriage.
And that's going to happen. But what I'm going to say is strengthening your finances and tackling those debts strengthens your marriage. I can't say that any truer.
Agreed.
That's good.
And I was going to say, like, if it affects her, it affects me. And if it affects her, it affects the household. So there is no separation. I mean, you can, when you're married, you become one flesh. So you can separate your flesh from your finances, but how can you be one if I got my money, she got her money over there, and that's none of my business? But hey, we in the same household. If we in this household together, we need to tackle this whole household
together. Yep.
Now, on another note, so yesterday y'all was being petty. I'm gonna tell on myself.
Yeah.
So it's funny that Tia answered the question because yesterday he went and go get the food from the food truck that was in their neighborhood. So I would not buy his food because he would not go get it.
She refused to go get the food, but she would order herself some food. So on
that note, I did tell him that, nope, I'm not buying your food, but that was not very nice. So we do all have our petty moments, just being transparent.
Some more than others.
Because he still had to pay her for his separate food.
Yeah, okay, so she wouldn't even order it. She wouldn't even order it and then wouldn't pay for it.
But so certain times we can be petty, but when you are married, you are one. We do let our flesh and, you know, we want to come into it, but you got to remember who you are, and it's a good thing to bring those things together.
Yes.
And one time's okay. We'll let you see. It's okay to be petty sometimes, right?
Yesterday. So yes.
Y'all Geminis are so petty.
BJ. And then our next question I have is, because I had some questions that came on ahead of time. I need everybody to give me one thing that keeps a marriage successful, and then also, how do you keep your marriage, and they use this word, I know we're married to third ring, but they want to know, how do you keep your marriage spicy?
We'll start with the code clause.
I knew you was going to do that.
So how do you keep your marriage what?
So the first thing is, what's one thing that keeps your marriage successful? And then how do you keep your marriage spicy? And then, we'll do that.
I guess I'll do the spicy.
You know what?
Honey, I have 4 children. Children, spice. Okay. But just taking moments to ourselves, even if it's just outside in the backyard, and trying to be as spontaneous as we can with the 4-year-old.
Okay.
That's about as spicy as it's getting right now with the pandemic. We can't go anywhere. Not too much.
You were all over the place. I already know.
Listen, I ain't
you know my son. Yeah. So, but what keeps our marriage? Honesty.
Yeah, open communication.
We talk about it all. We talk about it, stuff that we probably, most people were like, why would you talk about it? Because it's necessary.
Yeah, and I think for me, what helps me to sleep well at night is the fact that through the course of getting married and stuff, me and my wife talked about everything. So there's no one that can hold something over her head of stuff that they may not know because I already told it. So at the end of the day, I can rest assured, I can rest at night, or I don't have to, look over my shoulder of what's going on, because again, we took that time to really talk about things that the couple said before us. Like, they're open, they talk about, everything. So I think that's important in marriage. Don't have someone that has something over your spouse because you didn't let them know.
That's a good one.
I think one of the things I think we have to try and take on the attitude that we're a team. I think oftentimes couples they're together, but they're still individuals. And I think when you take on the mindset of that we're a team, what affects me affects her, and her success is my success, and my success is her success. And when I look at it as a team, I'm not going to do anything to mess up my partner, because what happens to her and the damage that I cause to her, I'm really hurting myself.
Yeah.
And I think as long as we keep in mind that we're a team, and then I know with my niece and Charles, the third chord, but as it relates to what we're talking about, I think that we always have to remember that we're a team. We're not an isolated individual, we're a team.
And then how y'all keep it spicy? Who answering that one?
So keeping it spicy, I'm glad we have people with different, at different levels of their life, what have you, because we don't have any small children or anything at home. So we do staycations, we travel, and when we go, we try to act like, ooh, this is our honeymoon. So we keep it spicy by traveling and remembering the honeymoon.
That's one. All right, who we coming next? T and BJ, go ahead.
I answer the spicy part.
Oh God.
What was the first part of the question?
What's one thing that keeps your marriage successful?
Definitely communicating and having patience with someone. I think, like, especially now we're home together a lot. So just, okay, I can't, having patience. He might not do things the way that I would normally do things, or, things he may not handle the kids the way that I would. But you know what? It's going to be okay. Like, it's not the end of the world. Everybody does things differently. But at the end of the day, as long as we're accomplishing the same goal, it's fine. So just being patient, allowing grace in your marriage, just kind of, okay. And then definitely communicating.
All right, go ahead, BJ, with your answer.
And then piggyback on that, and not trying to hold on to grudges and things like that.
Yeah, letting stuff go.
You gotta let stuff go and let God, because if you don't, it will consume you both in your marriage. To spike this, I'm a Q.
No.
End point. No. But for real, you gotta keep. For some reason, you have to keep reinventing yourself and things you do. I mean, things get old. And then so you gotta find certain things. And I think someone said in the first segment about love languages and things like that. I'm honest, I didn't know anything about that within the last 5 years. Like, what? She talking about love languages and stuff like that. So I had to research that, and now I'm hearing a lot more about it right now. But so I use that as a tool, knows her love language and things like that. And sometimes I have to say, oh, she likes this done, acts of service and things like that. So, and she learns mine. So I utilize that a lot.
That's good. Thank you. And then we have Nicole and Jamie. One thing that you would say is a success to your marriage, or keeping the marriage successful, and how do you keep your marriage spicy?
I would say, first off, traveling. Like this couple over here said, they don't have small kids. We don't have small kids either. So Corona won't let us be great right now. Otherwise, we'd be in the middle of an ocean. But even if we can't get away somewhere, outside of the country, even just going down to the beach, just, him and I being able just to spend quality time together, leaving work at home, leaving family at home, just being with just me and him, and just refreshing ourselves. So, and also communication, keeping communication open, being honest with each other, no matter what the situation is.
Yeah, I think really understanding each other. That's why I like the part, just like my brother said, that y'all mentioned about love languages, because I think just understanding how each other works. I know that sometimes I have my time where I like to be alone, but my wife understands that now. So even if we go on vacation, we might do all these things, and she knows, like, it might be one day where I wake up and I'm like, I just want to chill. And she knows that that's not because I'm upset or I don't want to be with her. She knows it's just me. And then I know that after I have that day, that she's going to want to go and run and do all this and take pictures and do all this social stuff that I don't want to do at all. But I want to do it. But it's just, having that understanding and saying, okay, well, we don't have to turn this into an argument. I'll let you be you, you be you, and we love each other exactly as we are.
Now, one of y'all preachers got to answer how you keep your marriage spicy.
She did. She said travel.
Oh, travel.
Yeah, we was spicy on the boat, man.
No, y'all fought. And then also I seen a cute thing. Nicole sells paparazzi. And the other night they was doing a midnight live, and I was up buying jewelry. But he was helping her. He had he was her little assistant. You was asleep. He was her. And he was up helping her. I said, how did you get the husband to help you sell your jewelry? But that, I know that meant a lot to her, because he was asking trivia questions and everything while she was promoting her jewelry. So I just want to, before my panelists leave, we have Tara Deaconess Cocoa. She does photos. BJ already told y'all what he does. Parrish and Stephanie's a speech therapist, y'all. Y'all got some issues with speech. Call her. She does my proofreading. She gets me together. Even when I post something on Facebook that look crazy, she called me, Tia, you gotta fix this. Yeah, so she helped me with a lot of proofreading. So we have some wonderful tools and key people on this Zoom today that has side things, but we appreciate you all. The only other thing I want to say is, and it was one last question I had, and then also with just spicy, we always say make love with the lights on. So texting throughout the day, just let your spouse know you're thinking about them, because sometimes just that little hi, how you doing, what you up to, and you thinking they want to talk about bills or they want to talk about something else, but really they just want to check in on you. That just makes you feel good. And then when they talk about budgeting, don't talk about a budget or money every single night, because that's a lot. Nobody wants to come home and deal with the finances every night. Set aside a day, pick a Saturday, we get paid twice a week, once a month. We're going to pick one of those days to actually sit down and talk about our finances, so we're not, boggling our spouse down with, oh, we might not have the money for this, or we might not have the money for that. That's a lot of stress that you don't need. And that adds extra pressure to your marriage when sometimes it can already be a lot going on. Yeah. So them are just some of the things I just wanted to add to this wonderful session you all have had. It was very enjoyable. Maybe one day after Corona, we make this a big old weekend event or something and go somewhere, because everybody likes to travel, different breakout sessions. Even, you might bring a blended family course or something. So, because these are all things that all impact our marriages. And just if anybody wanted to take this, first of all, to anybody, when you got married, everybody right here, does your marriage now look like you thought it was going to be before you got married? Is there anybody that can say yes? I know, okay. So that's one question. Does marriage look like what you thought it would be like? And I think that's one of the reasons we wanted to do this, because we realized no.
And I think when you have that perception of marriage, and you get however many years down the road looking at marriage, that can cause a crisis, because then at some point, like she said earlier, 3 years in, she wanted to pump the brakes, and she was done.
I don't want to be with him.
Right. Because she had this perception. I mean, of course, we all have some things to work on, and marriage is new for us. But when your perception does not align with reality, that can cause a crisis. Yes. But so you want to make sure that you're communicating with each other.
Yes. So that was the last question that we had. Go ahead, Paris. You had a question. You had a sister.
No, I was just thinking too. I think, and I know this from history, but I think a lot of times when people get married, they have this fantasy of what they assumed or were told, imagined that marriage would be. And I think we can make those realities and fantasies come true, but it takes a lot of work. Marriage just doesn't happen.
Oh, yeah.
And I think if we realize and understand that marriage takes work, and also I know too that, and my wife is tapping me under the table, and I know too that it does take work. And what you'll find is that oftentimes marriage will turn out better than you thought it would be.
Oh, yeah.
Some of our examples have been poor examples of what marriage should be.
Exactly.
And I know that's my case in particular. And so marriage for me, especially when God gives you who he wants for you, marriage can be an awesome, awesome experience. And I'm very blessed to be married to who I'm married to.
Yeah.
Look, I feel like that was a great thing to it.
You're spicy right now.
I didn't know it was supposed to.
Well, we want to appreciate y'all. Any closing remarks from anyone? No. Okay. Well, we thank everybody that has tuned in. Like I said, this will even be. I will go back and watch this later because y'all have just blessed me. I was taking notes the whole time we were talking because these were some very important things, and I appreciate you. All of our panelists will be getting something special from us, and so I'll be reaching out to you guys because I appreciate your time and your effort and your preparing for this. And you all did amazing. So thank you so much. If any questions come in later, we will forward them to the appropriate couple. And I just want to say I thank you.
Yes. So again, if any, like you said, questions can come in via our Facebook page, Marriage to Third Ring, or on our website at mt3r.net. There's a contact us button. Click that, comes right to you.
Yes. Thank you so much. You all have a wonderful evening and enjoy the rest of the session.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, guys.